Good morning. Is this loud enough? Or?
Yeah, good.
So I'm here today to share my experience as a former work study student, and I want to talk to you a bit about how being a work study student and a award recipient has impacted my life and continues to do so. In August of 2002, I was hired for the Center for Community Service Learning as a student assistant during a pretty difficult time in my life. 3 months prior to that, my father had died of colon cancer. And so it was very difficult. I was feeling adrift and a little depressed, and I wasn't really sure about my future here at CSUN. But I was hired by the center, and it was more than just a job, because I had jobs in the past. I worked at Radio Shack and movie theater and stuff. So it was more than just a job. It was an anchor which kept me grounded here at the university and firmly on the path towards academic, professional, and personal success. And the main reason for this was because my directors at the center, my supervisor, took an active and genuine interest in me, not just as a worker and what I could produce, but also as a student, always checking up on me, maybe nagging to make sure I was doing good in my classes, making sure that I was had someone to talk to if I needed that. Their office was always open, and also trusting in my ability to handle challenging projects. And I didn't realize it at the time, but one of these projects would end up changing my career path drastically. Dr. Maureen Rubin, who was director at the time of the center, she informed me that I would be working as a coordinator for Project Grad Japanese Institute. And basically it was a collaboration between the center, a community partner called Project Grad, and the Japanese department here at CSUN. And basically it was designed to bring students from San Fernando High School, students who were kind of what they call at-risk or low-income, to CSUN to take classes of Japanese language, to take classes of Japanese culture, and also to get exposure to the university so that it became an attainable goal for them. Dr. Rubin knew that I had been studying Japanese and I was a Japanese minor, and so she felt that I'd be a good fit to serve as coordinator. What she didn't know was that I didn't want to work with kids. In fact, the reason I worked at the center, that I wanted to work at the center, is because it was an office job. And but it wasn't really negotiable, and when she said you're doing it, you pretty much had to do it. So I served as coordinator and helped set up the logistics, and also once the program started, took the bus to and from San Fernando High School with the kids and helped them with their Japanese homework, and just kind of talked to them about what it was like to attend university. And by most measures, it was really successful. Students learned a rudimentary level of Japanese. They learned about entirely new culture. They gained exposure to the university, and many of them learned that Japan was not a country located in Africa, which some of them seem to be. And on a personal level, it was really a rewarding experience because I learned that I didn't hate to work with kids. I really enjoyed working with them and having a meaningful impact on their lives. And so after I graduated in 2005, I moved to Japan, to a small town of about 10,000 people called Kagami-machi. And I was a participant on the JET program. And the JET program is it's a program run by the Japanese government, which is pretty much the largest exchange program in the world. They bring 6,000 foreigners to Japan from 50 countries to engage in grassroots internationalization. So we're talking working in local community centers, working in elementary schools, high schools, junior high schools, not really at the embassy level. And I was one of 2 foreigners in this town. There was a British guy, so I had to learn a little more Japanese, but also more English. It was really a fantastic experience living there, working with the community, and also, we taught English. We did cultural teaching also about your home country, so in my case, America. And the English teaching was fun, but I really enjoyed cultural exchange. And it kind of took place on varying levels. There was kind of the silly level, for example. In Japan, when you eat lunch, the students don't eat in the cafeteria, they usually eat in the classroom. So I remember one day I was having lunch with the first grade students, they're about six-year-old kids. And we're having lunch, and they're asking me questions about America, questions about my hobbies, etc. And then one kid, he raised his hand and he says, "Ellison Sensei, can I ask you a question?" And Sensei means teacher. And so I said, "Sure, go ahead." And he had this really kind of confused look on his face. And he said, "Why do you have hair like a sheep?" And this was around October, November, so my hair growing out was kind of like a little afro. You know, you gotta realize in Japan, especially in the countryside, it's all Japanese people. They all have the same kind of hair, you know, kind of similar looking. So for him, I really didn't have hair that looked like sheep, because that's the only thing he knew that looked like. So I said, "Well, you know, I guess I was just born with it." And he said, "Oh, okay." So, you know, that was a good enough answer for him. And he started eating his rice and stuff. And then he raised his hand again and he said, "Can I ask you another question?" I said, "Sure, go ahead." And by this point, the teacher was really embarrassed. But, you know, 6-year-old kids say what they're thinking. And he said, "So, do all Americans have hair like a sheep?" No, this is just me. So, you know, it was that level of exchange. And then there was also a meaningful exchange. And another example is, I remember going, when I first started, I was in charge of 7 schools, so elementary schools and junior high. And I'm going to the school, and in the office, all across the wall, they have pictures of all the previous principals. And I'm looking at these portraits, they go back maybe 70, 80 years, depending on how old it is. And all the pictures are of old Japanese men. And so for me, that was a little, it's a little odd, coming from hippie California, where it's like women empowerment and all this kind of stuff. So most of the schools, almost all of them, women did not really attain the position of even vice principal. You were pretty much a teacher, and then you retired. It was just men. And so when I would introduce America and myself and my background and stuff, I would always introduce CISA. And I would show, in the slideshow, I would show a picture of the president of the orchestra. And when students would see that it's a woman, they would flip out. Because for them, women didn't even become principals of elementary school, let alone president of the university, 3 times the size of the town. And so the students, you know, they flip out and go crazy and stuff. It's like, how can a woman become president? And so over the course of the 2 years, that was one of the gender issues, or one of the things that I worked on with the kids. Just to kind of give them a little more exposure to what's possible. Because a lot of the female students would tell me, I would ask them, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you have desire to do? And a lot of them say, I want to be a housewife, I want to be a nail artist, I want to do hair, which is fine, as long as it's a part of a range of options that you have. Nothing wrong with being a housewife. And so that was a very, very rewarding experience. And so when I came back to the States, that experience had kind of cemented my desire to continue to work with youth and kind of impact on them. And so now I'm working at, across the street in Northridge at the Child and Family Guidance Center. And I work with transitional age youth. And these are adolescents who are becoming adults between ages of 15 and 19. And they come from really difficult circumstances, to put it lightly. We're talking foster kids, children who have been abused, children who have learning disabilities, come from abject poverty. And my job is to help them not fall through the cracks in the system, whether it's the education system or our society as a whole. And so we teach them, you know, things like independent living skills. We teach them how to deal with the issues that they're having. And when I look at what I'm doing now, I can say that if it weren't for the work study program, I wouldn't be doing this right now. So I'd just like to extend, in closing, I'd just like to reiterate my gratitude to Josie for doing the work that she does to provide opportunities for students like myself to kind of find yourself here and find out what it is that you love to do. Thank you.